What is going on, dudes? I need a new intro line. Anyways, for those of you coming from the ebook, you know what we're going to be breaking down. For those of you guys just watching this on YouTube, we're going to be breaking down the trunk rotation mechanics of one Justin Verlander and yes, I don't know how to pronounce Kikuchi's first name. Yasu. Right on. So I like this kind of comparison here. I got them synced up, but I like this comparison. Very similar angles and very different approaches towards throwing a baseball, but both accomplishing that task of throwing a baseball extremely successfully. Right on. Okay, so guys, in the ebook, we've been talking about components of the trunk rotation mechanics and how it all kind of leads into, the overall optimization of the throw. I look at it kind of like, there's certain components within the delivery itself that you can not be as like great at, but there are certain components of the delivery that you really do got to hammer down if you want to give yourself an opportunity to produce high power output. So I look at, I just had a drink of that energy formula, discount code Robby, shameless plug, so good. Anyways, whoa, piece of candy. All right, so like I look at hip rotation mechanics as a huge staple within the lower body mechanics that we got to get right, and then within the upper body mechanics, I look at trunk rotation mechanics as a huge staple that we got to get right. Obviously, the arm action as well. But the reason why those two, I choose those two often, is due to this idea behind segmentation. That's hard. Segmentation. So the segmenting of the two rotations. There's two rotations in the delivery. All right, lower body rotation and then upper body rotation. Now, the ability to segment that is a pivotal piece towards creating rotational energy, towards creating torque, and then obviously further down the line we go, there's more responsibilities in terms of releasing torque and releasing rotational energy on time and in line and so on and so forth. But I just kind of want to go over this screening because I love the angle, and in the ebook, we're talking on trunk rotation mechanics right now. So I'm going to like show you the angles and how kind of just geeked out I get over just angles. So both guys, like I said, very different in their approach towards all this, but we can get them at full hand separation. And Kikuchi, yeah, okay, so we're good there. So angles, all right? Angles. I love how each guy's different in terms of their approach towards their hand path, but nonetheless, we have angles. Okay. Internal rotation is unreal over here, just so you wanted to know that. But again, the goal for me when we look at this, simplifying the entire dynamic of trunk rotation mechanics, the goal is to just less is more, right? And obviously the arm action and the glove side mechanics, the first two pieces that we talked about within this segment of upper body mechanics in the ebook, the arm action and the glove side can influence the trunk rotation, but the simplification of the goal regarding the trunk rotation is do less and don't rotate with your lower body, which is a common component that we see within guys at the youth level. So just taking a look at our angles. Okay, now we talk about the glove side and how each guy's glove side could be a little bit different in terms of the way that we establish a direction, the way that our arm action works, the way that we're trying to load our drive leg, and obviously the capacity restrictions for each individual. Kikuchi, you can see, is a little bit more linear towards his desired target, whereas Verlander is going to be a little bit more closed off. You can say he's a little bit counter rotated, loading that drive leg, whereas you can see Kikuchi's trunk is a little bit neutral. Okay. So now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this trunk rotation dynamic. Let's not pay too much attention to the uniqueness of like these arm actions. Well, Verlander's obviously he's okay, but Kikuchi, how he hides this ball and still throws 97 just absolutely baffles me. All right, so now in terms of the trunk rotation, okay, I wish we had the full video over here of Kikuchi, but we don't. But we could see that the front foot is going to do exactly what Verlander's does, rotates into front foot strike. And now this common misconception that we hit on in the ebook regarding glove side is don't pull glove side. All right. This is an idea that I think a lot of kids will think about, almost thinking like a cable push pull type deal. The glove side doesn't get pulled. If we consciously think about pulling the glove side in, what's going to happen is the trunk's going to actually start to rotate, and we don't want the trunk to rotate at the timing of this whole glove side mechanism. So the glove side is going to get into elbow flexion right around this time, right? So if we start thinking, as we can see this elbow flexion, if we start thinking about, all right, let's pull the glove side in, what's going to happen, right? The shoulders are going to open, and we don't want that. So both these guys do a tremendous job of, instead of pulling glove side, they go get their glove side, right? So this is the idea of trunk acceleration, going to get the glove side. It kind of appears like the perception is it's pulling in, but the trunk's going to get it, right? So the glove side, if we just looked at the angle of which this occurs, right? So here and here, watch where it ends up. Same spot. And now you can see that this pulling sensation we talked about within the trunk rotation mechanics and the hip rotation mechanics is pulling sensation that's created through segmentation, okay? So we anchor down now, obviously, this rear hip into hip extension, and we can see that it's almost pressing, this hip flexor pressing forward, whereas this throwing side pec is pulling back, right? So we're creating this stretch, creating this rotational energy component that needs to be released not only on time, but in line. What do I mean by that? So again, I wish Kikuchi's front foot was showcased. He's got a long stride. That's hip capacity right there, dude. But on time is when we're releasing it in comparison to where our anchor point is. So a lot of times we talk about the slope sequencing and how that affects segmentation. Guys want to start to go early due to the mound giving more time. And then in line is when we start to then, so gravity is going to complete this rotation of the hips. We just want to position accordingly. And then we get into the lead leg block. And now the trunk, and this is the biggest aspect in my personal opinion in regards to the trunk rotation mechanics, is we are throwing with our arm, but we are leveraging our arm with our trunk. So all of that rotational energy that we just touched on is then allowing our arm, depending on the positioning that our arm is in, to be leveraged with that rotational energy as a backup type, generator or a main fuel source, and not having to rely solely on, the arm itself to generate energy, right? So you can see this, how it pulls in, and then you can see, boom, that's going to pull. And then this just being in the right, that's not the right one. This just being in the right position is going to then influence a higher rate of arm speed, okay? And then lastly, with the trunk rotation mechanics, is how it can lead into this mechanism of, late launch shoulder extension and arm deceleration. And I look at trunk flexion as a way to not only accelerate the arm at a greater rate, but also within that kind of same breath to decelerate the arm, to buy deceleration time for the arm, which there in turn will give your arm time to accelerate, or give your arm a much better ability to accelerate. So just looking at this general posture of the two, we can actually move Verlander right there. So now where his shoulders started in relation to where they end, right? So his shoulders started closed off, going this, and now they're ending this, right? So throwing shoulder in front of glove side shoulder gives us that late launch. Same with Kikuchi here. Throwing shoulder inside of glove side shoulder. So you have this trunk rotation aspect that started either counter rotated, like I said with Kikuchi, was a little bit more neutral. Verlander, where his trunk started, was a little bit more counter rotated, right? We'll talk more in the ebook about that dynamic as well. And now finishing both in the same plane with the over rotation and late launch of the shoulder, and also this timing now and this plane of rotation you have to decelerate your arm with your trunk being in flexion after a completion of rotation. we talked about that with an arm deceleration. So guys that, throw with early launch where their shoulders are kind of in line are going to limit themselves to their ability to decelerate, which is probably just going to be a breakdown overall of, their acceleration. So then you can see on the completion of this throw, freedom of the arm, much time to decelerate. Yeah, great stuff. All right. Ebook should be done soon, guys. I'm pumped for it, but I know you guys are anxious and excited, and the anticipation's through the roof. It's the same for me too. Let me know if you have any questions, therobbyroshow.com/ask. That's all I got for you today. Have a good one. God bless. See you later.